The race system in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is something we've long wanted to overhaul and improved, and you can actually see some of these effects in Super Dragon Ball Heroes. They didn't just add all the races that we have in Xenoverse 2, they added even more by having androids, bio-androids, supreme kais, and even dark gods, and I'm pretty sure that was a Beerus adjacent kind of power-up you could get for all of your races too. Keeping this in mind, Xenoverse 3 will be a massive improvement over Xenoverse 2, coming out more than 10 years after Xenoverse 2. Unlike the gap from Xenoverse 1 to Xenoverse 2, which was only a year and a half, this one is actually going to be more than 10 years. So it's safe to say that not only the game faced massively new improvements, it'll also be including every single race that we've always wanted from the very beginning since we've ever heard about Dragon Ball Xenoverse. Hello everyone, it's me again, Steve Doji here, back to more Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3 and 2. I wanted to mostly talk about the races, because again, in Xenoverse 2, despite how we all feel about certain race benefits and balances in Xenoverse 2, for the most part, I think they're actually alright. Most people's issue with them does come from when you compare them to each other, obviously, especially in a PvP scenario. That's when it gets a little bit toxic, but for the most part, I do think all of the races do actually have really cool, unique benefits in Xenoverse 2. I guess going in order from how it starts, male Earthlings obviously do more strike damage than female Earthlings, but then female Earthlings also do more key blast damage than male Earthlings, but both races in general just have higher key recovery overall. Female and male Saiyans obviously both just do, like, you know, different types of damage. Male Saiyans do really good basic attack, but not so great with the super attacks. And then female Saiyans obviously do much better with the super attacks, but obviously way less in the basic attack. Then they have the, you know, low health Zenkai boost, which, by the way, the Zenkai boost that is in Xenoverse 2 is really bad, if that makes any sense. I feel like it's really low level. Like, you don't really notice it kick in too much. That might honestly be due to the fact that the Goku Black Arc just suddenly reintroduced them after they went in Dragon Ball for ages. And then in a Tournament of Power, you could actually almost argue that they're not even back. It's just that everyone suddenly now has exponential growth. So I think honestly they just kind of didn't know that Zenkais were going to be coming back, which is why they're so shoddy in Xenoverse 2. Maybe in Xenoverse 3, the Zenkais will be broken and ridiculous again. But I'm actually hoping that they do make that Zenkai buff better, because you kind of almost don't recognize how scary a Saiyan is on low health, unless if they're already going for like a max damage build, because then like what, the 2% extra damage they get on their Beast Awoken level 180 200 basic attack build, now you can feel that like extra 2% damage, because it's just a lot. Yeah, the Saiyan Zenkais, that can definitely get improved in Xenoverse 3 for sure, man. Oh, that's not even talking about how everything stacks once you pair it with the Super Saiyan forms as well, by the way. I did mention Beast earlier, but like Super Saiyan 1, 2, 3, Super Vegeta, God Blue, Blue Evolved, all of those forms obviously can make Saiyan gameplay way more different. A good example is, as a male Saiyan, you're probably always going to go for Super Saiyan 3, God, Blue, or Blue Evolved, mostly because you obviously want higher basic attack damage, right? And as a female Saiyan, you're probably going to stay away from the, at least from Blue Evolved, maybe, because that just drains your ki, but you'll probably still use Super Saiyan Blue and Super Vegeta too, because you want to maximize your ki blast damage. So I do think the race unique benefits actually do kind of alter how you would play a race or a character. A good example is, you'll never see like a Super Saiyan God female Saiyan, because female Saiyans don't do any basic attack damage. Like, they do so little that buffing that, like using up a whole transformation to just buff that, feels like such a waste, you know, when you can just have, you can have your ki blasts go from free-shotting people to one-shotting people, but instead you wanted to make your basic attacker go from Tickle Monster to like Feather Duster, which is just like, it's not necessary, you know. So the race unique benefits actually do massively change how you would normally play the game, and I think that is cool for the most part, because, you know, variety is the spice of life. But I would like if that the variety wasn't so restrictive for some rather than others, you know what I mean? And obviously Margins are another race to have two, you know, genders to them, with the male Margin having the weirdly unique passive that if their stamina isn't low, they take a lot less damage, but if their stamina is low, they basically just die instantly. Not exactly the best, but it's definitely because the male Margin's race-specific buff has always been one that they have a really hard time figuring out. A good example is that in Xenoverse 1, it was also kind of a really weird stamina-based buff, where if you had stamina, sometimes your stamina would take the damage rather than you. I don't even remember. It was just so weird. But female Margins, at least, they got a good one, man. If you break female Margins at any point, whether their stamina is low or high, they just have really quick stamina recovery. And that makes it really, really hard to land certain moves on female Margins, because you just can't stamina break them. Again, that's an extremely race-specific buff. That's an extremely good race-specific buff, especially in Parallel Quests and PvP. Because in Parallel Quests, you can always get God broken in the middle of an ultimate attack or transformation or something else. But then you just get all of your stuff back, which is, you know, great. Male Margins, on the other hand, no, they got screwed over pretty hard. They do need a new one. Then we have Namekians and Friezas. Now, the Namekians one is obviously very simple. Namekians obviously just have an ocean of HP, and then they can also regenerate when they're at low HP, which makes them even harder to kill. They do have a few other benefits as well. Obviously, again, like Giant Form is another extremely good thing, by the way. Holy crap. And Giant Form, unlike the Majin's Pure Form, doesn't really need the Super Soul to be good, but it does have a race-specific Super Soul that does make it better. But in general, Namekians are just extremely OP, especially this far into the game's life cycle, where the health bars are so big that when they start regenerating, they can regenerate like the last entire health bar by itself. It's actually disgusting how good Namekians have got over the course of time, because the bigger the health bars get, the more they can just regenerate, you know what I mean? And that becomes extremely broken when you pair up with certain defense-based Super Souls or regen-based Super Souls. It just makes Namekians even stronger. And then obviously Friezas, unlike Namekians, have actually got worse over time, despite the fact that they actually have a really good buff too, like being able to restore stamina while they fight you. I think that's absurdly good. Being able to gain stamina while fighting people is really, really good. The main issues with Friezas, though, is that they don't actually have, like, I don't know, if Friezas had like a Super Saiyan Blue of their own kind, something that boosted their stamina recovery, like you could use a stamina recovery boosting Super Soul on a Frieza, I guess, but you'll never get anything as good as like even just regular Super Saiyan Blue. And you want to make sure your Super Soul can cover as many like areas as possible, not just like slightly help you in one place, right? So Friezas, I think, would actually be amazing with their, again, gaining stamina on combat. Like, they don't lose stamina, or like their stamina doesn't stop just because they're punching you. They actually still get it. So I don't know, if Friezas could get access to some sort of stamina recovery buff, then it would make them way, way, way better. But the overall issue with Frieza is that they just kind of suck because their combos just got worse from Xenoverse 1 to 2. In Xenoverse 1, their combos are broken, but in Xenoverse 2, their combos are just sad. And I think the main thing really is that all of these were obviously developed when Xenoverse 2 like first launched, obviously. If they made the race-specific buffs now, they'll obviously be very different. Like, again, I imagine Zenkai's would be way stronger, amongst other things, right? But really, I just wanted to talk about the races in Super Dragon Ball Heroes, because Super Dragon Ball Heroes as well also obviously brings a lot of race-specific benefits to it. And this isn't even taking into account, by the way, that obviously with stuff like Dragon Ball Daima out, we have even more lore on demons and Kaioshins, which can obviously help with, you know, making those race-specific buffs for Xenoverse 3, because by the time Daima didn't come out when Super Dragon Ball Heroes, like, you know, made all of those unique characters and races, right? So we actually have new canon source material. Oh, well, I mean, depending on how canon you believe Daima to be, right? But we have new material in general that kind of gives us an idea as to how strong or, like, how good certain race-specific benefits or buffs could be, right? Like, for example, they're probably not even going to call the Kaioshin race Kais anymore. They'll probably just call them Glins, right? Because that's the actual name, and we do have it now. So they'll probably just get called Glins rather than Kais when, you know, when you see them in the character select screen. But obviously with Super Dragon Ball Heroes, the buffs are very different because, again, the gameplay is very different. A good example is that stuff like androids get to, like, do their attacks twice because it's, like, turn-based. But obviously, since we're going to be moving from turn-based to, you know, 3D open action arena combat, I imagine that they'll have to change the buffs a lot. A good example is that androids, you know, humans, bio-androids, glins, I'm going to keep calling them glins, even demons are going to all have to have really different race-specific buffs. And that might be another reason why the game is obviously taking so long to make. Because when you expand on all these custom characters and stuff like that, you have to make that gameplay actually feel meaningful. Then you still need to make full transformations for all of these characters. I think a really funny thing that could happen, honestly, is demon characters end up getting something like the third eye, and maybe Kaioshins or Glins do actually get some sort of fusion or Patara kind of ability. I'm saying this mostly because, obviously, now that we know in Dragon Ball Super, the only fusion that's actually, you know, permanent are the ones that happen between Supreme Kais. And it wouldn't hurt, just like the Pure Form Majin ability, and just like the Giant Namekian ability, to give Glins like their own fused form, like fused Zamasu. Maybe they just fuse with a version of themselves, or with a, you know, another kind of Glin that is just there to help them like power up, something like that, you know. So I actually think that there's a lot to do when it comes to the future customization of this game, because it's not like Dragon Ball games have ever been against these kind of super unique mechanics, because they exist in other games, just not in Xenoverse. So it's not like they'd be against having stuff like, you know, Third Eye as a demon transformation, fusion as like a Glin specific transformation, all of these unique things, man. And even bio-androids. I don't think bio-androids are going to absorb anyone, but they'll definitely have the ability to, like, you know, steal ki, drain ki, and maybe enter their own ideal, like, perfect form or something. But honestly, I think that's a pretty good place to end this. I didn't really talk too much about the pre-existing races because it's very obvious what the changes would be for them. Majins obviously just use the other forms that Majins have in the game, or just use what Majin Do has with the weird, like, copying Super Saiyan kind of shtick. Obviously, if Earthlings, just please give them the 100% buff mode, or just make the Nimbus not suck. Super Saiyans just add the rest of the forms. Like that's the easiest thing to do for Saiyans. Literally just add the rest of the forms. That's it. It's not even worth bringing up. You know, Frieza's obviously add the rest of the forms for them as well. It's really just add the rest of the forms for most characters, but for the newer characters, I do really like the idea of them actually being able to tap into their, you know, higher stage power-ups by just using what we have in Dragon Ball Daima or other source material or in the other games. So without further ado, I think that is a solid place to end the video, guys. I do hope again you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, then please leave a like in the video. Don't forget to subscribe, it greatly supports the channel. I do love you all, gang. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Take care and peace. Bye bye.